Hello everybody. Today's video is about grounding. Those of you who have practiced with me before know I'm all about grounding. We always do a lot of it in every class and every workshop and every practice. But what actually is it? What does it mean when we are grounding? My sense is that it's one of those words that has been overused a little bit and might have lost a little bit of its authenticity. There's a lot of those words out there, and that's fine. But nonetheless, I think it would be really good to really fully understand what it means. So here is a little game for you if you want to explore the meaning of grounding for yourself. I like using this to really reflect on the meaning of things. So say the sentence, when I am grounded, I ... and then complete that sentence for yourself and maybe sit with that. You could even make that into meditation. Sit with that for a little while and see if you can complete that sentence in 5 different ways or 10 different ways maybe even. So you might start coming up with things like, I'm sitting with that. When I am grounded, I feel calmer, for example. When I am grounded, I feel more relaxed. I feel more comfortable in my environment. I feel more connected with a sense of self. And so on. And you sit with it and you keep drilling down, because maybe some of the things that come up are just sort of as overused a little bit and might not have a real meaning, but at some point you'll probably reach the real essence to what it means to you. So have a go and sit with that. I believe that looking at it a little bit more technically, and no matter what words people might end up using for it, it kind of leads to the definition. I don't know if a definition is the right word, but so it leads to that point of, when we are more grounded, we are probably in a more regulated state of our nervous system. And so there are so many different practices and tools and things that we can do to foster that sense and to obviously support the nervous system in that way. But that's, for starters, one of the reasons why I pay so much attention to grounding. And it might be that you are in a state in your nervous system where you need a little bit more uplift for regulation and not the kind of grounding and calming down, and that's fine. But very often people are in a sort of fight and flight response, and that grounding element can be so helpful. However, I really want to look at grounding also from a physical perspective, more in the kind of the body sense. What does grounding actually mean there? Because that's actually where I put most of my focus. It's maybe something like finding a way of letting the bones come to rest fully. And when the bones rest, the muscles don't need to remain tense and keep holding on to the bones. Muscles and the kind of soft tissues is obviously where we carry a lot of the tension, and we carry a lot of habitual tension, a lot of emotional and anxiety tension too. And that tension, this habitual tension, is very much up and away from the ground. So to get through, let's say, just a really like a normal day out there in today's world, we need to put on a certain kind of suit for protection, a little bit of an armor. And we need to, maybe not be kind of completely open, but close up just that little bit as a defense mechanism, as a protection mechanism, something like that. Or maybe we need to pull ourselves together and up to kind of make ourselves even move in the first place. And all of that, as you can see as I'm doing it with my hands, all of that is it's an up and away tension. Any muscular tension is holding onto the bones and pulling the bones away from the ground, and is also preventing us from really resting through the bones. And that is what the bones are designed to do. They are great at it. It's literally their mission in life, to bear our weight, to carry our weight. Only that we pull ourselves away from the ground so much with this habitual kind of protective tension that we forget how to really rest through the bones. And that is something that I really love exploring in the yoga practices, and that's why we spend so much time on grounding, because there's so much habit at play. It takes quite a while to undo, so we do have to spend time. We might also kind of start with that so that we undo a little bit first before we then explore movement. But it's really so that we start disturbing those habits of tension. Otherwise, those habits will, just obviously take over and also create a new norm, a new normal. So we need to keep disturbing those unhelpful habits. And that is not something that you kind of do once and then it's fixed. No, because obviously we still live a life day to day, and we're still going to be needing those kind of tension mechanisms on a daily basis. So we have to also work on undoing them on a daily basis to let the body know there is also another way of being, really. And very often when I practice this, or what I see in people when we do it in class or workshops, practice, whatever, very often there is a little bit of a nervous system discharge coming up at some point. So like a deep breath, or like a little shake or yawn, or one of those things. And so the nervous system is immediately kind of talking here and responding. And that's probably because when we disturb that habit of tension, of that protective tension, of that kind of also emotional and anxiety tension, and we're finding a way where we can be without that just for a moment, the nervous system recognizes that and goes, okay, so we must be safe right now. We must be in a comfortable place. So maybe I can let go a little bit of that fight and flight holding in my system, and we can shift into a more parasympathetic mode, more into our social engagement system, more into that place where we do feel fundamentally comfortable. And that often comes along with this discharge. So actually working this out on that basis actually loops back round to what I started off saying, that this grounding really means finding ways to support a more regulated nervous system. And then when it comes to, how we're maybe developing our yoga practice or whatever other somatic movement practice it might be, it is from that place that we then can really find the room to start exploring movement with more ease, more effortless movement with less tension effectively, which is really then more confluent movement and more natural organic movement in the way that we might want to move. And that will have an impact on how we then start moving off the mat and also show up in day-to-day life and in our community, in our environment, with more ease and movement. And that will speak very much to anybody who might be struggling with persistent discomfort and pain, finding that just that little bit more ease at times will already make a really big difference. So yeah, I thought I'd speak to grounding a little bit as we do it so much, and maybe I don't always explain it in class because we don't have time. We just get straight to it. This is also very much one of the key premises of the language of the body, which is my take on a more therapeutic and trauma-informed approach to to yoga. If you have any questions or comments or observations, I always love to hear from you. I love these conversations, as you know. Any doubts, any contradictions, please also tell me. Maybe you want to share your favorite grounding practice, or those of you who have maybe practiced with me before. I would love you to, now that I've sort of given that little explanation, if something has sort of fallen into place and it makes you realize something that you've experienced in your body during the practice with me, I would love to hear that, if there was any kind of, okay, this is sort of making sense and things are coming together. That's it for now, for today. Thank you so much, and take care of yourselves.